I want to talk to you fighting men and women about the battle of the United States. You may wonder what I mean by this. You may wonder why what I'm about to tell you has not been told in detail before.
Flying saucers have invaded our planet. Washington, London, Paris, Moscow are key targets. The whole world is under attack. Can it survive?
TRC, how is it going? You know, some really good advice somebody told me before I came out here. They said, Tim, it's not truth or consequences, it's T or C. T or C. So I'm so happy to be in T or C with all of you. Let me hear it. Who's ready to hear some great things about UFOs tonight? I am too. My name is Dr. Mounts, but you can call me Tim because we're all friends here. Let me restart this. I am the host of the All Things Unexplained podcast, so look that up, yell at me, I'll say something back. I am also, I didn't tell you about this, but I'm also contestant 718 on season 1 of Beast Games, which is on Amazon Prime. Thank you. Started with 2,000 of us, and I made it pretty far, and I'm proud to say I made it much further than any other UFO podcaster. So, I was the top finishing UFO podcaster. Besides my Bigfoot hollering championship in Crossville, Tennessee, that became my new greatest accomplishment of my life. So, I'm really proud to be here. Thanks so much to all of you for showing up tonight. And I wanted to give a big shout out right now to Marianne Blau with TRC Brewing Company. They've been so wonderful. And come on up if she wants to say a few words.
Okay, thanks, Tim. You guys can hear me okay? I'm not used to talking into a microphone. Okay, Earthlings, raise your hand. And Martians, raise your hand. Oh, okay, Okay, so 2-timers. Interesting. Okay, well, let's see. I just wanted to start by saying thank you, and a quick fun fact about the brewery that no one really knows is before John and I really knew the town here, and we were going to start a brewery, we knew we were going to name it Truth or Consequences Brewing.
No.
We knew. We were like, obviously, there's no better name. We were like thinking about, we need a tagline. And one of our friends came up with, well, Truth or Consequences. What about, like, big questions require great beer? Or big questions require big beers, which means high alcohol beers, by the way. And we never really doubled down on it. But tonight, I would say that we're here to debate a big question. So, kind of exciting moment for that never used tagline. It's its first day out in the sun, so. So I think you'll enjoy the big questions we're going to debate here tonight. And I just have to say that what I love about this event is it's giving us all a chance to come together over conflict in a very fun way. So thank you for being so fun, all the organizers and participants, because it is fun to just have some fun conflict. So thanks everyone for coming out for this. And finally, just I want to thank my dad, John Blau, who is the connection. Yeah, thank you, John. He's hiding. Between Steve Edmonston, who is the super organizer of this event, and me, and that's why we're all here tonight. So thanks, Dad. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Tim. Please try a sample of the Mothership IPA tonight, and remember to tip your aliens. I mean bartenders.
That's right, Mothership IPA, that's what I'm drinking. It's amazing. It's super strong, but it doesn't taste like it, so it's also quite dangerous. I got a few shout outs before we get started. Shout out to Lupe. Thank you. He's behind the bar there, I see. And all the staff, so support them. Be kind and tip big. Shout out to my friend, Lee Starks. He's like our Men in Black, essentially. Lee, can you stand up? He's here with a few books, and he would be happy to meet all of you. Orbit and Spectra. That's Lee Starks, and Lee and I have had some big adventures here in New Mexico since we got here this week. Some of you have some bingo cards. Those are good all night long. There's only one requirement. All you got to do is you have to yell out bingo, and you have to get my attention. And you win. You win something. Okay? If anybody up here says any of the words on your bingo card, mark it off. Okay? Let's see, what else we got here? Mary Ann came up here. Lee, I want to give a shout out to Bill Skywatcher with KGRA for helping with tonight's live stream with Scott Schaefer and South King Media. Thank you so much to them. Scott is right back there. Before I forget, I want to give a shout out to Craig Holmes, who has a really cool Men in Black hat. #1 Men in Black. Craig is right over here. He drove all the way from Washington State to be here tonight. So thank you so much to Craig. Shout out to DJ Close Encounter, who is over here to my left. So don't disappear after the debate, because then it's DJ Close Encounter time, everybody. Shout out to Linda with Angel Remnant Art. They've got some incredible art on display in the side room. Linda, can you stand up, please? And I gotta tell you, if I can figure out how to get some of that back to North Carolina with me, then some of that's going back with me, because it's amazing. I love all the art back there. Shout out to Algae Analytics, who is responsible for the green alien goo back here. Algae Analytics, if you haven't checked that out, be sure to check that out. Shout out to Spaceport. I believe they got a table in the back. Spaceport, some of us got to tour Spaceport today. Amazing facility. And they're our partner tonight, but they're also parking people off planet. So if they helped you park just a morning, your vehicle may have been abducted. All right, without further ado, we're going to introduce some folks, because we're here for Roswell versus Washington tonight. And we're extremely honored to have some of the preeminent experts from both of these places, Roswell and Washington State. And I'm going to start with a man, he's been mentioned already, Steve Edmiston. Steve, you want to come out here real quick? Steve is an expert in the Maury Island incident. He's a business and entertainment lawyer, a screenwriter, and producer. I was lucky enough to see one of his films last night at the El Cortez, a wonderful establishment. He's an expert on the Maury Island UFO encounter, history's first Men in Black case. He's the co-founder of the Men in Black Birthday Bash, the MIPPP, I gotta be careful I say that fast, and writer of the Maury Island incident film. Y'all give it up for Steve and Steve.
Well, thank you, Tim. Let's give it up for Tim, our host tonight. I don't know why he decided to come out and host this, but we're so happy that he did.
Free beer.
Free beer is always a good reason. He's going to queue up. I get to give my opening presentation, the opening argument of Washington versus Roswell. I'm going to talk about one specific incident you probably have never heard of, the Maury Island incident. Anybody here have heard of the Maury Island incident? We have a few. We've got a few. Okay. So here we go. I've got 4 minutes and I've got to be fast. Usually takes me an hour to tell this story. But if you don't know the story, it won't be as much fun. So here we go. June 21, 1947, day one of the Maury Island incident. Next. A man named Harold Dahl, who lived in Tacoma, he went down to the docks that day. He picked up 2 day workers. We don't know who they are. They disappeared in history. Because he went down there, not yet. Because he went down the docks and he took his son Charles, he took the family dog Sparky, and they went out in Puget Sound. They ended up, yes, just off Maury Island. Go ahead. And off Maury Island, on their boat, the North Queen, they encountered 6 flying discs shaped like donuts. One of them seemed to be failing. Ultimately, it exploded over the boat, according to the story. It released a slag, like a metallic slag, melted molten material. That material fell onto the North Queen boat. It damaged the boat. It actually burned Charles on his arm, Harold's son. It actually killed Sparky the dog. That is the correct answer. They were so frightened that day, according to the story, they ran this large working boat aground on Maury Island to escape. Please move ahead. That brings us to day 2 of the Maury Island incident, June 22nd, 1947. Yes. That morning, a man knocked on Harold Dahl's door, 6:30 in the morning. What do you think he was dressed like? Oh yeah, classic Men in Black. Black suit, white shirt, tie, fedora, shoes. Arrived in a black 1947 Buick, and what he did that day at the diner is he told Harold everything. Well, they went to a diner together for breakfast. Then the Men in Black proceeded to tell Harold everything that had happened the day before in the water, just like I just told you. And then he did what Men in Black always do. He issued a warning to Harold. And he said, if you talk to anybody, bad things will happen to you, bad things will happen to your family. Next. This was described in the 1952 book by Ken Arnold this way, The Threat. This man told Harold that if he loved his family and didn't want anything to happen to their general welfare, he would not discuss the experience with anyone. That brings us to 2 days later, June 24th, same summer, 1947, and the famous Mount Rainier sighting. And we'll hear a lot about that tonight. Next. And if you're not keeping track, just 2 weeks later, well, I'm sorry, the Summer of the Saucers, 1947. Those sightings kick off an entire summer of flying saucer sightings around the country. Thousands of them reported. One of them was this one. Just 2 weeks later, a little alleged crash of a UFO in a place called Roswell, New Mexico. We'll talk about that a lot tonight. But here's where the story gets weird. It gets weird because the Army, the Air Force, the newly formed CIA, and the FBI began to investigate these sightings. And they all met in Tacoma, Washington, to interview Harold Dahl. And in the interview, Harold Dahl told them everything that I told you, and he actually ended up giving these guys some slag, samples of the material that fell from the UFO, and they took that slag, the investigators from the Army who had been flying up in a B-25 bomber, I'm not joking, they picked up the slag, they got back on their B-25, and they went back to California, except they didn't make it the whole way. That plane carrying alien slag spontaneously caught fire. Oh my God. The pilots were able to get 2 passengers into parachutes, and they survived the crash, but unfortunately it was too long and the pilots died in the crash. How do you not know this story? I'll tell you how you don't know the story. It's because if you go on Wikipedia tonight, you will find something somewhere that says Harold Dahl made it all up. Well, if he made it all up, why are we here talking about it? right? Here's the reason, next slide. Because we have the FBI's investigation records. The FBI investigated the plane crash, the plane that had alien slang from a UFO, right? And in that investigation, we found out the FBI concluded it was not a hoax. Harold never confessed to a hoax. That the confession was fabricated. That Dahl made up the idea of confessing so he could be known as a liar as opposed to a crazy person that saw a UFO. That investigation goes all the way up to J. Edgar Hoover. Super interesting. And we have a hero, Agent Jack Wilcox, who wrote all the documents that we have, which is why we know the story. Next. The most important document that we think in UFO history that we have is this one, and it's the document where Jack Wilcox tells J. Edgar Hoover that Dahl did not admit to a hoax. Go ahead, we'll go to the next one. We're finishing up. So, here's what happened. The FBI was happy to get rid of the case. They sealed everything about Maury Island and its investigation for 50 years as top secret. Dahl's fabricated hoax was unchallenged. That's why we all think it's a hoax. That's why we go to Wikipedia tonight and still see it. So the Maury Island incident was wrongfully forgotten. Yes. And we're here to change that tonight.
Thank you, Steve. Steve Edmondson, everybody. Let's hear it for him. Maury Island expert. We've got a couple of more experts here from Team Washington tonight. Let's all give a big TRC welcome to Jason Madsen and Vince Yanuza. I just realized I've never said his last name until now. Was it right? I don't know. Jason and Vince. Jason Madsen from the Lewis County Historical Museum. Jason is the executive director of the Lewis County Historical Museum in Chehalis, Washington.
Chehalis.
Nobody warned me about Chehalis. They told me about TRC. Chehalis, Washington. He preserves Northwest history and culture from small town landmarks to the Twin Peaks legacy. Did we need to preserve that show? Television show?
Absolutely.
Celebrates Kenneth, I love Twin Peaks. Celebrates Kenneth Arnold's sighting through the annual Flying Saucer Party. I hope I get an invite to that. To the next one. Vince Yanuza right here with us tonight from the Pacific Northwest. I've been to the Pacific Northwest. He's a videographer, researcher, and producer of the YouTube series Pacific Northwest. He co-produces the Chehalis Flying Saucer Party, honoring Kenneth Arnold's 1947 sighting. He documents the strange, the spooky, and the wonderful side of the Pacific Northwest. Let's give it up for Jason and Vince.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. We have a very important story to tell you about the history of flying saucers.
Because it all started with us.
Yes, it did. This is going to be kind of a duet here. Imagine Kenny Rogers and
Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Sorry, we have a
Bingo.
bingo. I'm sorry. That overrides.
Oh, okay.
So just like that, we've got a bingo because it didn't take long to talk about Men in Black, the Air Force, truth, whatever that means, flying saucers, and beer, drinks, and drinkers. So thank you so much. What's your name?
Brandy.
Brandy. Show everybody what you got there. Brandy's officially MIP. Thank you. Brandy, and all the other cards are still active. So just yell it out if you get one. All right, Vince.
On June 24th, 1947, the flying saucer was born.
It started in Chehalis, Washington. A private pilot and businessman named Kenneth Arnold flew out of the Chehalis airport. He was looking for a downed marine transport that crashed in the Cascades about half a year earlier. There was a $5,000 reward.
While scanning the mountains for the wreckage, Arnold witnessed bright flashes of light coming from near Mount Rainier. As his eyes focused, he saw that the flashes were coming from 9 aircraft flying in an echelon formation. The craft were crescent-shaped and were unlike anything Arnold, an experienced pilot, had ever seen.
They were flying south from Mount Rainier to Mount Adams. Arnold used the two mountains as markers to determine their speed, which he estimated at a whopping 1,200 miles per hour, an unimaginable speed at the time of any known aircraft.
Arnold's first thoughts that these could be secret weapons from the Soviet Union, and it was his patriotic duty to report them. He immediately landed in Yakima, Washington, and described what he had seen to some pilot friends. He then flew to Pendleton, Oregon, just over the Washington border, and reported his sighting to the East Oregonian newspaper.
When asked about how these craft flew, Arnold described their flight pattern as erratic, like a saucer skipping over water. This description hit the news wires, and within days, the Associated Press coined the term flying saucer. And the modern age of UFOs began.
That is definitely worth an applause. In the months that followed, thousands of flying saucers were reported across the nation in an unprecedented UFO wave known as the Summer of the Saucers.
Arnold quickly became a national celebrity, forever known as the man who first saw the flying saucers. He also became the first citizen UFO investigator, flying his plane to interview eyewitnesses and experiencers throughout the Pacific Northwest. His story also graced the cover of the very first issue of Fate magazine in 1948.
As the years went by, Arnold struggled to uncover the truth behind the UFO mystery, facing an uphill battle against public mockery and a government cover-up. But he never once wavered on his story. He saw something important, something that changed the world.
Eventually, his story became less known as more popular cases such as Roswell began to take prominence.
But we, the representatives of Washington State and UFO, are here today at the Truth or Consequences Brewery to set the record straight and to remind the world
where it all began.
Oh yeah. Looking at that meme, I feel a little bad for Washington State. Sorry, guys. But you've got the love of this crowd tonight. So, we're with you tonight, and now I'd like to introduce 2 friends of mine that I am really proud to know. Let me introduce to you from Team Roswell. First up, he's with the famous or infamous Roswell Daily Record, Toby Martinez, everybody. He is the investigative reporter. Thank you, the smoke machine quit working. Yes, it is. Sorry, Toby. The investigative reporter and design editor who's covered UFOs for over 20 years. He's worked with the X-Files, Expedition Unknown, and the History Channel. He's the co-author of Rendlesham, Signals from the Threshold, and the co-director of Rendlesham, Beyond the Lights. Give it up for Toby Martinez, everybody. And now a true Roswell UFO heavy hitter. His name is Paul Simones, everybody. He does the Roswell UFO tour. He's a forensic engineer turned UFO investigator. He leads the Roswell UFO tour. I trust you'll all be there soon to take it. He's taken guests in the key sites of the 1947 crash, known for uncovering hidden military histories and solving long-standing wartime mysteries. It's my friend Paul Simones. And look what he called with it. What is that?
Is that proof? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you for the first time in public in world history a piece of paper-backed foil from the Roswell Army Airfield. Look at that. This is not usually how we start. This is just a thing that came blowing off one of the aircraft down there. The former Army Air Force Base, from the Army Airfield, turned into an Air Force Base. That's where they decommissioned aircraft and parked them out there today. This is some stuff. This is
Mike malfunction.
the government has already tried to silence us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, the Roswell incident is a case that involves genuine historical events involving actual military figures. You see on the wall behind me, Major Jesse Marcel, the intelligence officer of the world's only nuclear-capable strike group in 1947. He is the back up. Thank you. What you see there are the actual historic newspaper photos that were plastered all over the nation's front pages the day after the announcement came out from Roswell that they had captured a flying saucer. What you are looking at in those pictures is Major Marcel posed in front of a pile of tinfoil trash. We are supposed to believe that these pictures tell the entire story. And the basic story is that a rancher found some strange stuff on his land. He comes to the city of Roswell. He reports it to a sheriff. The sheriff calls down to the army base at the south end of town, and they put out a press release telling the world, after Major Marcel has gone to that ranch to recover the material, they put out a press release telling the world they captured a flying saucer. Within a few hours, these pictures are taken. For 78 years, these pictures have confused the world. You are supposed to look at them and believe that that's all there is to it. What you see on the floor in front of Major Marcel, next slide please, is nothing but a tinfoil radar target kite, which they would use to fly up into the atmosphere, to track wind speeds by radar at high altitude. They took one of these, they smashed it up, they threw it on the floor, they brought in a newspaper photographer. Let me ask a quick quiz question. Next slide, please. Actually, hold on. Go back one. Where are these famous pictures of Major Marcel taken? Who knows? Who knows? Free prize. I'm not hearing the correct answer. We will have to delay giving away of prizes.
Anybody know where these pictures were taken?
These pictures are taken in two slides. The office of Brigadier General Roger Ramey, the commander of the 8th Air Force at Fort Worth Army Airfield. Ladies and gentlemen, these pictures are not even taken at the state of New Mexico. We look at these pictures, you are expected to believe, oh, he said it was a weather balloon. Ha, you can tell that's just tinfoil trash. That is the tinfoil trash of a weather balloon. And those pictures are not even taken in the state of New Mexico where the historical military events even occurred. I ask you a question. Imagine the O.J. Simpson trial. Imagine if the prosecution had only one shred of evidence trying to prove that O.J. Simpson was a murderer. What would that piece of evidence be? Not the glove. Imagine that the only shred of evidence that the prosecution had to convince the world that O.J. Simpson was a murderer was a photograph of a glove on a park bench in Oregon. That is what these pictures are, ladies and gentlemen. They are pictures of something not even taken in the state of New Mexico, and you are supposed to believe that they tell the complete story. I'll give you one more thing to think about. The official cover story repeated by our government to this very day about the Roswell incident. It was repeated even just last year in the brand new historical survey report from the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office of our Department of Defense. The story that is reiterated even today is that what you are looking at there came from Project Mogul, the super top secret balloon experiments being launched over here at Alamogordo in 1947. We are told that that was from Project Mogul, a tinfoil radar target kite from Project Mogul, flight number 4 of June 4th, 1947. There was no flight number 4. But don't let that stop a good cover story, right? The government doesn't have to come up with an explanation, they just have to come up with an excuse. Flight number 4 of June 4th, and these pictures are taken on July 8th. Which means you are supposed to believe, ladies and gentlemen, that the stuff that you are looking at in these pictures laid out on Rancher Mac Brazel's land in the monsoon season of Lincoln County, New Mexico, with its windstorms, rainstorms, hailstorms, flash flooding, dirt that clings to metallic surfaces like powdered sugar, mud that turns to rock, a land of wild antelope, free-range cattle that leave cow patties every 10 feet, grazing sheep that eat anything shiny and fluttering in the grass in front of them. And you're supposed to believe that. Laid out on Rancher Mac Brazel's land for 5 weeks. Go back 2 slides, Tim. I have one simple question for our Department of Defense as they tell us that Roswell was nothing but a weather balloon. Ladies and gentlemen, where's the dirt?
There you have it.
Hey, guys, can you hold up what I just brought out to you?
Oh, yeah.
Hold them up so everybody can see.
Look what they gave Team Washington up here.
Why don't you go ahead and read it, Vince? What's the top headline?
What's the top headline? Vince?
Top of the page.
It's upside down.
He did get a concussion.
RAAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region.
And that's the whole reason we're here, because of Roswell.
That's called, ladies and gentlemen, that is called not a boring PowerPoint presentation.
I'm glad they got those newspapers. When I was used to play sports, they told me that was the Spirit Award. The Spirit Award. So good job, guys. You got the Spirit Award for tonight. All right, I feel like giving a book away. You know what? I've seen some really amazing headwear out here. Stand up if you got on some amazing headwear. Holy moly. Oh. Yeah. Hey, who's got the best one? We've got 3 great candidates here. Man in the red, raise your hand. Man in the pink and blue hat, raise your hand. And another metallic hat right here. Mike, pink is that metallic hat in the green shirt? Fancy blue hat. Mr. TRC. Let's go. We've got a book from Lee Star Orbit. Congratulations. All right, let's get this thing going now. We're going to have a few minutes for each team to answer my questions, and then a couple minutes to reply to that. And I'm going to start with this. All right, so round 1, we got 3 minutes each. Team Maury Island, you're up first. Okay, folks, the government loves to put things down, right? Say things are fake. The government said, Maury Island incident, nah, that didn't happen. Sparky, he had it coming. That's literally what the government said. The government said, Roswell, if the balloon doesn't fit, you must have quit. It was just a weather balloon. It was just Project Hope. I don't know about this, so what I want y'all to tell us and our audience here, what are we to make of the government's proclivity for telling us none of this happened? Let's start with Team Washington. You have 3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay. So I think the Maury Island story is extraordinarily unique, not just Washington versus Roswell or Washington events. It's unique for a lot of reasons, and the government's role in the case is unique for a lot of reasons. And the reason is this. Normally, you have a witness to a UFO, and then there's, the government comes in and says it didn't happen, it's a weather balloon, it's something else. Witness is saying, but it happened. Then you have this argument between the government and the witness. In the Maury Island case, really different structure. The reason we know what we know about Maury Island is because a B-25 bomber crashed in peacetime in the state of Oregon, carrying 2 Air Force intelligence officers and alien slag from a UFO investigation. And the FBI was charged with that investigation. So it's a really odd construct. The FBI is investigating this crash, and it happens to be history's first X-file. Because we have an agent named Jack Wilcox. He's a special agent in charge in Seattle and Tacoma. And he's basically over a 3-week period reporting directly to J. Edgar Hoover and telling Hoover, here's what happened at Maury Island. And by the way, when Harold Dahl says he made it up, Harold's telling us privately, oh, no, I saw what I saw, but I'm now so afraid of the Men in Black warning. I'm now so afraid of all the bad things that's happening. I will say I'm a liar. And so the government actually didn't mind that. Harold was now a liar and not a UFO witness, and they were happy to let it slip into history, close the case. So it's a really unique construct where the government and the witness are collaborating to cover it up. And I don't know that I've encountered that situation before.
We got a bingo, everybody. You got 1 minute left, but we got a bingo.
I thought I was being called Schmiegel. I didn't know what was happening there.
Come on down, we got that bingo. Let's get some, y'all got something to give away up here? We have the coming of the saucers for, what's your name? Amanda, congratulations, Amanda. The coming of the saucers. We even have another winner. Sir, what's your name?
Captain Mike.
Captain Mike.
I've got right here a Roswell, New Mexico beer koozie from Hangar 209 downtown Roswell.
That koozie's made with love. I can tell you that. And sir, what's your name? We got Greg here. What we got for Greg? Oh, we got a T-shirt from. Yeah, let's see it from Team Washington. Look at that. All right. They told me bingo. They told me bingo was going to pay off, but I didn't know it was going to pay off this much. Woo. All right. Team Washington, you have 1 minute left. Let's roll.
So I think what I want to leave you with is when we talk about the government's involvement in the investigation of Maury Island, and we talk about its complicity and collaboration with the actual witness to cover it up. It's not one sheet of paper. It's not one newspaper headline. It's this. Will you hold this for me, Vince? Yeah, go ahead. This is a two-hander. This is my file of the FBI records that relate to the Summer of the Saucers and the Maury Island investigation. Hold it sideways. Hold it sideways. It's about 2 inches thick. It's very robust. I challenge any other UFO investigation on the planet that was conducted in real time, not 60 years later with people writing books. In real time, no other UFO incident has been investigated to this extent and with this documentary record. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. This red beer bucket, lid, courtesy of C Brewing, means your time is up. I'm supposed to throw it at somebody, but I'm not going to do it. And also, I hope the live stream did not pick up all the comments on Steve's previous comments about the 2-inch thick thing. Okay, Team Roswell. Strange government explanations. Oh, we got a bingo. Roswell, you're going to have 3 minutes on strange government explanations after. Oh, another way. I've seen you before. What's your name, man? Jessica. We got something for Jessica. I wish I had Jessica's. Oh, how about a mug and a t-shirt? Because you know what? We're having fun. We're here to have fun. Let's go, Jessica. Way to go. Woo. And make those bingos too easy, I think. All right, Roswell, strange government explanations.
We'll get to you.
Bingo. We're going to get you right after Team Roswell. Let's go, Team Roswell.
All right, hey, just real quick. I love how Steve waves around that big binder of paper. This is a piece of the Roswell Army Airfield front gate sitting on the floor in front of us, just so you know.
Those are nice bricks.
They are. A little something about the government cover-up in Roswell. Roswell is a case where the Army actually put out the press release saying we captured a flying saucer. Now, what does that lead to? It leads to a whole bunch of people assuming that, why, that was just a young, dumb public information officer jumping ahead of his authority and making a bunch of generals have to jump through hoops to shut the story down. It's all a mistake. It's all mistaken identity. There's a problem with that, though. As I researched the case, and as me and Toby have actually talked to some of the folks who were alive at the time, we'll put it that way, we start to develop a realization that the idea that something had fallen on a rancher's land north of town, I believe the rumors of that were already going around town, the town of Roswell, before the Army puts out their press release on that big Tuesday. The question has always been, why put out a press release saying you captured a flying saucer? Well, here's what I think. I favor this theory. I think it's they put it out on the theory of, when there's a story out there, just lean into it. Lean into it. People are already spreading the rumors. Go ahead and say it. You're right, folks, we captured a flying saucer. But guess what? The whole thing is already packed up and on its way out of town. Nothing left to see, folks. And the story then gets shut down within a few hours later in Fort Worth when General Ramey reveals a bunch of tinfoil trash. Here's what's interesting about that. That is essentially, if Kenneth Arnold and Maury Island are the beginning of the Summer of the Saucers, Roswell is to a large degree the end of it. Because the cover-up that was executed by the Air Force on that Tuesday, July 8, 1947, was so effective that within a couple of days, the press stopped even paying attention to the flying saucer reports. In a public sense, the story dies. The Summer of the Flying Saucers dies. And what happens 2 months later? Now that they've gotten the press to quit talking about it, now that they've got people not paying attention anymore, now that they can investigate in peace and quiet, a real historical military document, which no one disputes its authenticity, says the flying saucers are something real, not visionary or fictitious. And we need to start investigating. And they do.
Can we get a round of applause for Tim for designing the bingo cards around Steve's presentation?
Hey. How could I know Steve was literally going to say every conspiratorial buzzword in the dictionary? But here we are, folks. Steve Edmondson, he's on the job tonight. All right, I want to give 2 minutes to Team Washington. I want to know something, Team Washington. How come the government was so quick to change the story, the explanation on the Roswell incident? But we didn't see that happen with the Maury Island incident. I'm going to give you 2 minutes here.
Yeah, I got bingo.
But we got a bingo first. Let's roll with some bingo again. Because you see Washington up again. Look, this man with all the bingo cards. What's your name again? Andy. Andy, we got something for Andy tonight.
Here you go.
Andy, come on down. Get your shirt.
Andy, you got it?
And we had another bingo, I thought, didn't we? Yeah. Let's get something out. What's your name? I met you earlier.
We're going to get down to the stickers.
Name is Lady at the Bar. I met her earlier, and you've got some stickers, I think, up here. No, a mug. Look at that. All right, Team Washington, you've got 2 minutes. Let's roll. What happened with Maury Island and the government? I don't understand.
The great thing about the Maury Island story, whether you believe that Harold Dahl saw 6 flying discs, that they dropped burning slag, that his son was burned, that his first dog death ever by UFO, first encounter with a Men in Black in our modern popular culture, whether you believe any of that, we have an incredibly detailed government record of the investigation. And the problem with the investigation is only one thing. They sealed it. The investigation is robust. The investigation is detailed. They have all the interviews with the witnesses. They looked at all, they just did an amazing amount of work, but at the end of the day, Harold Dahl wanted to make it go away, so he collaborated and said, I'd rather be a liar and confess to a hoax that I'm inventing than be a crazy UFO person and have bad things happen to me, like the Men in Black told me they would. And so the government really was not proactive, it was really just opportunistic. Witness wanted to make it go away, government said, fine. Alien slag we recovered at the crash site, true story, they recovered at the crash site, the slag on the airplane. I think it's next to Indiana Jones' Ark of the Covenant in that warehouse, because we don't know where it went. But that complicity made it easy to make it go away for 50 years. And when you don't have a narrative for 50 years except hoax, it's hard to catch up to these guys. They had a 50-year head start.
All right. Well, I'm Tim Mounts. Again, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm the host of All Things Unexplained podcast. And one of the things I started doing recently is I was digging into the JFK files, and I actually discovered some new evidence about the Roswell incident. Never before heard audio of the government clearly covering up evidence, obfuscating from FOIA and UFO researchers. Team Roswell, you got 2 minutes here. If the government had been more transparent from the start, might Roswell have ended up a little different?
I think it probably would have been more popular because they would say, hey, we have an actual flying saucer here. I mean, what's better than the real thing? Ours crashed. Well, theirs just kind of flew by and zapped the dog.
Ours flew by, but the story continues on. Every documentary you see starts with Kenneth Arnold and his sighting. It was the one that made the papers. It was the one that coined the term flying saucer.
How many movies have they made about him?
Good question, but he starts. Yeah. Okay.
Every single flying saucer you see in a film, we owe to Kenneth Arnold. The Millennium Falcon, the USS Enterprise, that vision of the flying saucer, which is more popular than the golden arches of McDonald's, started here in Washington State.
I'm sorry, in what part of the country is it a fun activity to skip a saucer over the water?
Oh, in Washington.
You have to live near water to understand.
And so here's the problem, is that Kenneth Arnold described a motion, which the press then mischaracterized as a shape. And because of Kenneth Arnold choosing the term flying, or leading to the term flying saucers, now we have all the hoaxes. All the people creating the ridiculous little buzz saws that they strapped a bunch of electronics to and fling it over somebody's fence. That is why we get the hoaxes. If he had described more accurately, in such a way that the press would actually latch onto it and keep a hold of it, the shape that he truly saw, which was a convex triangle in the rear of a curved front shape, and then a bat-wing shape among the 9, then we might actually be getting somewhere and not be having so many hoaxes that we have to deal with. I think Toby has seen an intriguing artifact relating to this.
So Kenneth Arnold's original drawing he made right after the sighting is in New Mexico.
And that is the end of round 1, folks. Strange government explanations. Let's give it up for Team Roswell. Let's give it up for Team Washington. Now, I want to know, okay, but that wasn't official. Let's officially figure this out. Strange government explanations. Who thinks it was Team Roswell that took home the case? Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the good evening.
Y'all didn't know we're in New Mexico, right? All right. Who thinks strange government explanations? Team Washington. Take it on. All right. Pretty close there. Well, before we get into round 2, you know what? Why am I buzzing over here? Wait, it's because of the TRC beer they're providing tonight. Thank you, TRC. You know, every time I've been to Roswell, I went out and looked for UFOs. I'm not making that up, am I? Well, there's a UFO in here somewhere tonight too, folks. And it's under one of these tables. There's a UFO under one of these tables. So, folks, have a look under your chair, under your table. You may find a UFO somewhere. Everybody have a look. Leave marks. Did you look under your table? We have some people really getting into this up here. Well, this is not on the live stream. Actually, I hope it is.
She found it. Yeah.
Under the table is
And, whoa,
Oh,
sorry,
that's not
stand
it.
up. She did find a random bubblegum sticker. I'm sorry, but I encourage you to chew the gum. So, you stand up back there. We got a hidden UFO back there. And I tell you what I got for you.
Yeah.
Come on up here. My friend, Patricia Cornwell, New York Times best-selling author, sent the debate a signed copy of her new novel, Sharp Force. If you haven't checked her out on all things on display, check her out. This is my friend Patricia Cornwell, and sir, she signed this book for you tonight. Congratulations. All right, we're going to move on into round 2 tonight. Competing legacies. Round 2, competing legacies. This is going to be Roswell's turn to go first. We're going to move it to Mount Rainier, also with Kenneth Arnold. So, unfortunately for Team Washington, the Mount Rainier story, it's just kind of in the public knowledge. I told more than one person I'm coming up here to do a debate tonight. I'm moderating a debate. And they're like, oh, okay, what about? UFOs. What do you mean? Roswell versus Washington. Roswell, okay. Washington? What did Washington, D.C. do with UFOs? That's what they said. So, Mount Rainier is kind of faded, but Roswell, everybody knows Roswell. From here, every country in the world, Roswell is in the public vernacular. Team Roswell, you have 3 minutes. Why is that?
I think you kind of just made our case for us. I mean, world famous, it's still a travel destination for people that are into UFOs. UFO investigators are still down there doing research. I mean, what more do you need?
I think something that really, this goes to the heart of my fascination with Roswell. We know it's a real event. I mean, I'm not saying we don't know that these are, but we know it's a real event. It's captured in the newspapers in the day. There are scores of first-hand participants to a multiplicity of events that occur over a wide geography, people handing off material from one location to another, people flying material somewhere. There's a lot going on that there is no dispute these things actually happened. The dispute is over what the stuff was about. And it's almost proof enough to see how the government continues over decades to jump through hoops to tell us nothing happened here. That the 600 witnesses, the 600 family members of military veterans who served our country, whose lives were changed because of something they were told they had to stay quiet about, they're all liars. We are told that over and over through one explanation after another produced by the United States government talking about Roswell. In 1994, they put out a report. 1997, they did another one. And here just last year, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office put out a new reiteration of what happened at Roswell. Nothing but a weather balloon. All the stories are lies. Hundreds of people are all lying about Roswell, or they are confused as to what really happened, or they're getting the decades mixed up, or they've been misrepresented by researchers. I'm sorry, that's a lot of people, a lot of interlocking testimony that you have to contend with. And I personally, on a monthly basis at least, meet someone who is a family member to someone who was affected by the events in Roswell. They participated in it in some way, and they want to tell me a little about it, but when I ask too many questions, they don't want their name out there. They don't want to be part of the hoopla. That was the exact words of one guy whose father was here. We don't want to be part of the hoopla. And there is a stigma on this whole thing. A real event occurred. For 78 years, we have been lied to over and over again about what it was. I don't care if it was aliens. I really don't. I want the lies to stop so that the people whose fathers and grandfathers participated in this, they just wanted answers for their entire lives, so they get some answers. Did that even answer the question? I don't remember what the question was.
Covered a lot of bases.
And to prove the point, Roswell is so legendary, the aliens never left, as proven by this picture taken last week.
Yeah, there they are. They're still there, folks. All right, Team Washington. I got to tell you here, you got 3 minutes. I don't know if it's just the people I hang out with or what, but literally nobody I know knows anything about Frank Mount Rainier and Kenneth Arnold. Why is that?
Well, I mean, Roswell's got a great press agent, and we're here today to tell you that the Kenneth Arnold story and Maury Island deserve equal prominence in the UFO conversation. So when we think about what was happening in 1947, Kenneth Arnold did not have a history of other UFO witnesses in culture who had spoken up. He bravely was the first credible, popular witness to even see anything like this and to report it. He did not want the press. He did not want the attention. He felt there was something flying through our skies that our country should frankly be worried about. And he took it as far as he could. And I think Kenneth Arnold and the witnesses you were talking about who don't want to be involved because of the things that will happen to them, I think they have a lot in common.
No, Kenneth Arnold, he almost instantly regretted the amount of phone calls he got. There was 2 weeks straight where nobody even phone calls after phone calls. People wanted to, his business was failing, but he stuck to the story. He never wavered. And then he went on to he became so fascinated with it, he went on to investigate more stories, like the Maury Island incident, the nudist for Venus that happened, in also my county, Lewis County. So yeah, he stuck with it. He never wavered, and he was never afraid of, the repercussions. So yeah.
You got a minute left, Washington. Got anything else to add to that?
Well, and to this day, Washington State still contributes to the UFO world. There's Peter Davenport with the National UFO Reporting Center. We're ranked 1 or 2 in sightings in the country, while New Mexico is number 5. So still today, Washington is relevant.
I do want to give special recognition to the entire population of humanity who has actually heard of these stories. They're here with us tonight. Thank you for coming.
Yeah! Round of applause for all of Washington State UFO people out there in the audience tonight. Good job. All right, Team Roswell. So here's what I want to know. You got 2 minutes, Team Roswell. Here's what I want to know. Would Roswell even matter as much if it hadn't been for Kenneth Arnold? I mean, he did come up with flying saucer.
Well, I think the story would have still been reported. It just would have been described as a flying disc instead of a saucer. So while his sighting is, it has its place in history, it doesn't have the impact that a crashed flying disc, allegedly with bodies, has.
Oh, no, you have to throw it. You have to throw it.
But it doesn't count unless you hit any pin. Paul Simone's with the challenge UFO. You go.
I think it's very fair to say that the Roswell incident would not have even made a newspaper headline without the fervor and the buzz that Kenneth Arnold ignited just 2 weeks earlier. We would not even be talking about Roswell Roswell would not have the beautiful tourism and the, how do you put it, Steve?
The Roswell
Industrial
monoculture.
complex. One of those two, yeah. None of that would be possible. No one here would be sitting here listening to this debate without what the craziness and the fervor that Kenneth Arnold kickstarted.
Who had to contact who to get a debate?
I will just add, Kenneth Arnold's sighting is the first of hundreds, thousands in the summer of the saucers. Kenneth Arnold was just one guy. If he hadn't done it, somebody else would have. Kenneth Arnold is a man to be honored. His sighting is an important moment, but it was one of hundreds or thousands. And what more can we learn from it other than that it happened? What more can we learn? What more can we learn about the government response? What more can we learn about the technology of whatever it is that's coming here? It just evaporates amongst all the rest of the other sightings. I hate to break it to these guys. It's just one of many.
All right, I'm gonna give us 2 more minutes because here's what I want to know. We've got a lot of modern UFO reports happening right now. What do y'all think? I'm gonna give you 2 minutes. Are these modern UFO reports, and we've heard about them, lots of military encounters, are they going down more like fleeting memories, sort of like what sort of happened with Mountain Deer? Or are they more long-lasting UFO events that people are soon going to be talking about 50 years from now? Team Roswell, I'll let you go first here.
Well, of course, the thing we have with the modern sightings is that a whole lot of them are being captured either on ordinary civilian photographic devices or through military instrumentation. A record is being created. I wish we had some kind of record. Kenneth Arnold, after his sighting, he decided, my gosh, I'm never flying again without a movie camera, so if it ever happens to me again, I can capture it. Guess what? It happened to him again, and he still forgot to get his camera out. So, but hey, that just that happens. That's going to happen today. That's going to happen throughout history. We are going to be so transfixed by things that we see in the sky that we can't remember to pull out our device and get it ready to go, or it's going to fly off before we get the camera set. It happens. It happens. I don't fault that, but the fact is, in the modern era, we're collecting data that is going to have permanence. We're going to be able to review it in the future, and hopefully, it's not everything is going to be like the Nimitz case, where now 21 years ago, our Navy sees a Tic Tac flying over the Pacific Ocean, and today, our government says all of those records no longer exist. They had no reason to keep them. Are you kidding me? More lies from our government. You're kidding me? You want to tell me that less than a year into the wartime status of having invaded Iraq, we're in the very early stages of the global war on terror, that a Navy strike group, which is working up to be ready to deploy to the Middle East, doesn't keep their records? That's what we're supposed to be told. I saw the yellow flag. Thank you.
Team Washington, you follow that?
So yeah, Kenneth Arnold failed to get movie footage of a saucer while he was flying, because even back then he knew you don't text while you drive.
Good point.
And the number of sightings you reported on later is how many? I have no idea. So many. I mean, some of the saucers did, without him, they kickstarted it.
There were, so just to be clear, in the 8-week period, beginning in late June of 1947 through the end of the summer, 8-week period, there were thousands of sightings reported. And the way we know that is they were reported in small town papers, right? All over the country. And that is now well documented. And when you heard earlier that the end of the summer of the saucers was with Roswell, and that's just a falsehood. The summer of the saucers went for 2 months. And most of those sightings were after Roswell. I see it.
The red puppy got played. Good job, everybody. Listen, I want to know what the audience thinks real quick, but not about the teams. I would like to know You know, Roswell, it kind of was a newspaper headline. Mount Rainier, it was a story from somebody, right? We have a lot of modern videos we see. Tic Tacs, gimbals, go fast. Are these impressive to y'all? Let me know. Modern UFO videos, are they good? Impressive? Are they more impressive than Roswell? Are they more impressive than Mount Rainier? Interesting. Give it up for these teams for round two. Who thinks Team Roswell took that round? Team Roswell? Everybody? They got the golf clap. Team Washington. And let's make sure to give it up for our staff. Lupe is here still. She'll be here all night. She's here to close it, and the rest of the staff. Shout out to my friend Lee Starks there. Give him a visit. Who wants to win a prize here? If you can catch this UFO, you got a prize. Get ready. Don't let me injure anybody. Woo! Who got that? I'll give it another. Anybody? Who got one? Come on down. Oh. Come on down for your prize here. Y'all get these folks something. Good job, folks. They have recovered a genuine New Mexico UFO. You get this, and you get to keep the UFO.
You guys are doing good.
Prizes galore. Prizes galore. I need a volunteer. Can I get a couple of volunteers to come down here with me? Yes, ma'am. Come on down. Y'all get some prizes ready for it. You gonna volunteer? All right, come on down. Folks, shout out. Everybody give a round of applause for TFC Brewing. You know what we're gonna do here? We're gonna do a little beer trivia real quick. I think we've got time. Okay, real or fake? It's kind of like our whole topic tonight, real or fake. What's your name? Marcia. Julio. All right, Marcia. Mothership IPA. Mothership IPA. Real or fake?
Real.
You got it. That's what I'm drinking. Mothership IPA. We got something for him? From Marcia? Marcia. Have you ever heard that before? All right, Julio. Project Mogul IPA. Project Mogul IPA. Real or fake? Never heard of it. He's never heard of it. I promise you, if Julio's never heard of it, it is indeed fake. Good job, Julio. Let's get this round of prize. Thank y'all. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you.
Oh, you get something to do?
All right, next we're going to move into round three, everybody. Round three.
Sure. All right. Thank you.
Round three is about the cultural impact that UFOs have had. The cultural impact. Roswell, we know it's had a major cultural impact. Paul Simone's here is proof of that. He conducts the Roswell UFO tours. Where can I get the Mount Rainier UFO tour?
In Chehalis, Washington.
Oh, okay. Here we go. So Roswell has had a significant cultural impact. The Washington events may be slightly less. Toby has advised on things like the X-Files, which has talked a lot about the incidents on the X-Files. I'm going to start this with Team Washington, though. Team Washington, what's your take on the cultural impact of the Washington incidents?
Well, thanks, Tim. This is like my favorite topic. Because ultimately everyone on this stage, I think all of us agree that we all want to investigate further, and we all have very open minds. And while we're having a lot of fun tonight, we're probably not really trying to tear each other's stories down as much as enjoy the entertainment value of it, attacking the weaknesses. We
Yes.
like that. We like it. But this is important, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is critical. Let's talk about the cultural impact of Roswell, just for a minute, just by the numbers. 460 motion pictures have been made featuring Roswell as a topic. 340 TV series or episodes.
Oh. We got a challenge. The challenge flag has been thrown. Let's go, Paul.
Steve, name 15 movies about Roswell.
I can't name them, but if you go to imdb.com and search for the movies with the plot element of Roswell, you will get those precise numbers. It's very easy. Is that it? Is that it? Is that all you got? I hope there's more.
Yes, you failed my challenge.
I don't need to. May I continue? Thank you. Let's move off of movies. Let's look at all of the pop culture about Roswell. I think you would love this. We have over 5,000 books on the topic of Roswell if you go to Amazon. And what we don't know is how many, because they stopped counting at 5,000. Okay? That's how many. If you want to look at Mount Rainier for movies, 11. You want to look at Maury Island? 6. And that's all content created. So there's no doubt, 800-pound gorilla, and I don't know if we're a species, okay? So there's a big difference. But here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. The problem isn't merit. It doesn't merit that content and this content. The problem is Roswell had the hockey stick of coverage beginning in the 1970s, where everybody thought they could make a buck with another book and another book and another book and a movie and a TV series, and all of a sudden we got what I call the Roswell monoculture. And so that everybody wants to participate in Roswell, and it tends to take away from everything else that we can do. And that's dangerous because you lose stories. And let me tell you one story, and I'll ask your indulgence to tell one story because it's local. When you only talk about Roswell, you don't hear about Annabelle Mobley, and her daughter, Luann, who saw 3 flying discs, three groups of 3 discs in 1947. And she saw them, and they were so frightened, Annabelle and her daughter, that they drove all the way from Hot Springs, New Mexico, to Albuquerque in 1947 by themselves, an over 4-hour drive, because they were so either excited or scared or worried that they needed to tell the world about this story in 1947. And let me tell you this, when you only focus on Roswell, you don't learn, even in this city, that sighting was on June 20th, before all of our stories. You, through their consequences, have a dog in this hunt, and if you let Roswell dominate, and it's the only story, we're all going to lose.
You know what? I gotta take a little extra time there because he's full of passion. And you gotta love that. Let me tell you, I wasn't gonna interrupt that. He's got the crowd into it. Give it up for Steve Edwards. Wow. Tim Roswell, the cultural impact of Roswell. Let's hear it from 2 Roswellians. What do we got?
Well, congratulations, Steve. That's the first time you've spoken that nobody hit bingo, so. Okay, where's Hot Springs?
Here.
This is, you know what paper covered that?
You're in Hot Springs right now.
Yeah.
And it got renamed.
What paper covered it? The Roswell Daily Record.
This paper. And the next gift we're going to give is this. Anybody who wins the prize, we're going to give this, right?
Yeah.
It makes great wrapping paper. If you're like moving dishes or fine china, you wrap this around anything, it's not going to break like the saucer did.
It's not thin like foil.
I'm gonna ask a friendly question. It has been posed to me in a not very friendly way, but I'm gonna pose it in a friendly way. Sure. How many family members of participants to the events that you are here to talk about have you had a chance to meet and interview and talk to? I'm curious.
Oh, well, one at least from us. Yeah, one.
One? Okay.
I was born in 1980. They were all.
So we have people in the audience tonight that have talked to some of the heirs of Harold Dahl right over there, one of our investigators. And we have a lot of our investigators tonight are all meeting, and they're all having a great time in a live stream at Marina Mercantile. And I'll have to hear spot for me now that I called them out. Marina Mercantile.
So I do not have decades of experience researching the Roswell case. You know, it's been posed to me, how many firsthand witnesses did you talk to? Well, I don't know. Most of the firsthand witness stories about Roswell were being collected when I was in kindergarten. So they weren't around when I got into the case. So I ask that respectfully, and I love the fact that you have answers. You've talked to people who are involved. When we talk about the cultural impact of some of these events, I'm going to say this very tongue-in-cheek, but I mean this with all the love in my heart. Roswell has a cultural impact because it was real. Because hundreds of people were affected. Am I getting responses for the cheap seats? Did you guys pay your little entourage to come here and disrupt the Roswell case? Is that what's going on? I was going to make a very serious point. I mean, I've literally had an amazing opportunity to speak to people whose deceased parents or grandparents had something that they carried with them. They expressed it near the end of their life, and they're not out there seeking fame and fortune. They're not out there trying to get their names and their families in a book. I have to be very careful talking to those people if I want to use that information. The cultural impact is that whether it's Roswell or whether it's these events that I think we could fairly say probably involved a smaller number of people, but nonetheless, they involve real people, real families, real descendants. They have an impact because they really happened.
Yeah.
And that is a very good point. That is a very good point. There's a couple things I would like to know. Team Washington, and you can all respond in the way that fits you. Do you ever wish that Washington State had its own version of a Roswell, a town with a huge UFO festival, millions of people flocking to it, the state's most attended UFO museum, etc.? Do you ever wish that you had that?
Well, we're slowly getting there. Yeah, it just takes time. We're building up steam. Yeah, every year we have the Shayla's Fine Salsa Party. Every year it gets bigger. More and more people are participating.
You're finally learning that the grift takes practice.
Yeah, and we're here to learn from you. If we can compare some notes after.
Anybody have a grant on your bingo cards?
If you haven't figured it out after 80 years, you're gonna have to come to us.
Well, I did want to ask Team Roswell, in all seriousness, do you ever wish that Roswell did not have quite the cultural impact that it has had? Would life be any easier? Better? Different?
I'd say as a researcher, let me just say this as a researcher, because I didn't grow up in Roswell. I mean, I first visited 28 years ago, met Walter Haught, got his autograph, had a fascination with the case, but it started as just being an X-Files fan, right? It wasn't until after I'd spent years as an investigator of other kinds of things, investigating car crashes and investigating World War II veterans, that I eventually got really into Roswell. So I can't speak as a native. Toby can, so I'll let him answer here in a moment. I wish there was less cultural impact from Roswell because it has cluttered the space. As we truly try to study the case and evaluate what genuinely happened to come up with historical fact, we have to wade through all the nonsense. And the nonsense comes from the fact that it's gained popularity. My gosh, I mean, 2 different soap operas teenage soap operas named Roswell about some alien dude who fell in love with some human girl or something. Named for Roswell. They're not even filmed in Roswell. They don't have any of the locations of Roswell. I have people coming to take my tour, and they're like, "Oh wow, this looks nothing like the TV show." Well, of course it doesn't, because it's a bunch of nonsense. So I wish it had had less cultural impact. I really do, because that would clear the way for us to be able to research this in a pristine manner. But I'll let Toby talk a little bit from the cultural side, because he grew up there.
So I think from the cultural side, I like the impact it's had, and here's one reason people may not think about. Children growing up there become more interested in space early on. So that leads to more interest in STEM programs and things like that. So I think it can be leveraged for a positive for the community. And I think it helps kids with their imagination, you know, just dream.
Those are good points. Great job.
Can I add one thing?
Yes, sir, Steve.
Thank you. I think we have to be super careful about conflating economic success with cultural impact. They are not necessarily the same. And I think Maury Island, for example, is a great case study, because there doesn't seem to be any dispute in the record. We haven't really argued this. That the first time someone alleges that they encountered the now iconic Men in Black, that classic unidentifiable man in a black suit who tells you he knows everything that happened to you and tells you a warning, tells you not to talk to anybody about it. First time that ever happened was alleged in the Maury Island case. So even if and we know we can trace that incident to people who knew of that incident and chose to exploit it, right? We can trace it through books in the 1960s. So it all comes from Maury Island. Now, that Man in Black story is everything you now know. Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones, the full franchise, The X-Files, Ancient Aliens, everything you've ever seen in our view of Men in Black comes from this story. Now, it doesn't make a lot of money. Maybe someday we will. We're learning from you. We want to. But don't.
I wish you far more success than the lessons that I've learned.
But don't be fooled that the lack of success means it doesn't have a cultural impact, because it clearly does. Thank you.
Yes. No problem. You know, speaking of ancient aliens, if you check out my friend Patricia Cornwell's last book, it's called Identity Unknown, and it is about an astrophysicist very similar to Avi Loeb, who may or may not have been murdered by UFO. And in Identity Unknown, one of the main characters' favorite podcasts is mine, All Is Unexplained. And their favorite television show is Ancient Aliens. So good shout out there. I have a question for the audience. A little hand for the debaters here. But now I want to know what y'all think. Popularization. Does the oh gosh, I just had a flashback to my junior high prom. Does the popularity of an event make it more credible or less credible? What do y'all think? Super popular. Does that make it more credible or less credible? Both. It makes it what? Muddier. She says it makes it muddier. Y'all agree with that? I think that's a good point. Makes it muddier. Who thinks Team Washington took home cultural impact? Team Washington. Oh. Okay, Ross, nobody. I got one. Team Roswell, cultural impact. I think we found Team Roswell is here. I need 2 brave volunteers to come forward. What's that? Intellectual culture and pop culture. I think they both got something for that. We got one volunteer here. What is your name? Kat. I need one more. Oh, yes, let's go. Number 1, Man in Black here. Tell everybody your name again. My name is Craig Holmes. Craig Holmes. All right. Craig, I'm going to let you go first.
So, say,
He didn't even know that you.
state is my challenge. I've investigated Washington State, Mariana incident, from not knowing anything about it, starting from word go. And what I found out is Harold Dahl and L'Oreal has to be the first interaction with UFOs in the U.S. in 1947, regardless of what Roswell says. Roswell had a crash. They had no interaction with the UFO. They have just information provided by the government. That government says nothing. They tell you nothing. That's true. So I'm saying, so what I'm saying is the UFO incident in 1947 was Washington State, Maury Island, June 21st, 1947, hands down.
All right. Let's get up for our number 1 minute. And now let's turn it over to Kat, because I got a challenge for Kat. This is for a prize and for fun. An alien sound. I want to hear your best alien sound. You can hold them. Holy moly, give her something good.
I'm going to bequeath on you the most special gift that I brought.
That's amazing.
Really.
One more, you got more coming.
Hang on, stay up here, Kat.
That was so fun.
I have the photographic proof to prove the provenance. This is, I think, some banana nut bread, maybe pumpkin spice. I'm not sure. But, and I kid you not, this was baked by a good friend. She lives in the house that Major Marcel lived in the middle of the night. Major Marcel returns from the ranch. He comes home, he lays out some of the material that he's found from the crash site on the kitchen floor, wakes up his wife and son, brings them in, they all look at it. It's a famous story. This was baked in that kitchen.
Give it up for Kat. And I'm definitely hoping to taste that in that. So don't get abducted, Kat. All right, let's have a few shout outs here. Give it up for Bill Skywatcher with KGRA. Now Scott Schaefer back there in South King Media. Give it up for DJ Close Encounter, who's going to be here late into the New Mexico night, and after Kat called those aliens in, you never know what could happen later. Give it up for Linda with Angel Remnant Art. Back there, check it out. Again, Craig Holmes with the #1 MIB, drove all the way from Washington State. Marianne Blau, are you still in here? Anna Burry. Get over here, my friend Lee Starks with some books there in the middle. Algae Analytics with some alien goo back here. Spaceport. What the people in the live stream don't realize is everybody is still here because Spaceport hid their cars. They literally cannot leave. All right, so we have a captured audience. All right, let's have another little round of applause for our debaters. You're doing a great job. And now it's time for a little bit of a mystery round. They don't know what's coming here. And I'm not sure y'all know a little bit about this. Did y'all know that about 2.5 hours from here, a place called the Plains of San Augustine. Y'all ever heard of this place? I drove there yesterday with my friend Lee. We went to a little town called Tell me how is it Daddle or Daddle? Daddle. I had an incredible cheeseburger at the Eagle Guest Ranch in Daddle. And then I proceeded to the plains of San Augustine, where another UFO crashed in 1947. This does not quite get as much publicity as Washington State or Roswell, but it happened, folks, 1947. They say that the site was littered with metallic debris shortly after that crash, so that future researchers would be thrown off the track. Well, folks, it's still worth it to investigate, because I'm going to show you something I found out there. I brought this here with me. This is called synchronicity. We're in a brewery tonight. I found this bottle in the plains of San Augustine at the crash site. This is an old Anheuser-Busch beer bottle. This beer bottle, which was amongst the metallic debris in the plains of San Augustine, guess when this beer bottle dates to? 1947. I found this Thursday, folks, with my friend Lee Starks. 1947. This collaborates the plains of San Augustine UFO. But that begs the question. The government would have you believe nothing happened in the plains of San Augustine. The government has rewritten that. I want Team Roswell to tell us about the government efforts to literally rewrite history and keep us from the truth. Roswell, you've got 3 minutes.
The simplest example of this is the 1994 Air Force report. In 1994, the United States Air Force was impressed upon them that they must investigate what really happened in Roswell, reveal the whole truth. What did they do? They spent all this time investigating Project Mogul, accumulated nearly 1,000 pages of information on a balloon experiment, and slapped the word Roswell on the front and called it a day. In the course of that investigation, they did not interview anyone who had served at Roswell in 1947, except for one man, the counterintelligence officer. The counterintelligence officer who went with Major Marcel and the ranch, and the rancher, out to the ranch on that first trip. And when you pay attention to the land and the landscape, the distances between Roswell and the ranch, you realize the bewildering landscape, the dust of the world out there. And then you look at the story that this counterintelligence chief tells the Air Force in 1994. What you realize is he's telling a story that defies all plausibility. He basically says he'd been in Roswell for a week, he'd never been out onto that ranch, and without even meeting the rancher, ever, he denied he ever met the rancher, and without going with Major Marcel, who would have, in other words, on secondhand verbal directions alone, somehow he was able to make his way across a 60-mile distance. As the crow flies, it's much closer to 80 or 90 miles driving distance, and find not a humongous debris field, but a 20-foot square bullseye with a little tinfoil radar target kind in it, and he was back home in time for dinner. That's the official story. If you've been across that land, you know how impossible that is. That is the story that the only person that the Air Force bothered to interview who had ever served in Roswell, that's the story he told. That's the story the Air Force took at face value that they put out in their report. Folks, if you made that drive, you know it doesn't pass the smell test. And it makes no sense. And yeah, do you want to add anything to that?
Can you repeat the question, Tim?
Absolutely.
I forgot it because I was trying to think of if I know anybody that's ever mentioned Maury Island.
Well, you know what? That sounds like the government may have attempted to rewrite history for us. Washington, what do you say about that? You got 30 seconds.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, the government, this goes back to an earlier comment, the government's involvement in Washington State was different than it was in this long-term government cover-up that Roswell keeps trying to expose, and for good reason. I mean, just no qualms with that. The Maury Island story was a very unique situation where you've got a witness determining to collaborate effectively with the government to quash the story because the witness wanted nothing more to do with it. So it doesn't have that same sort of heavy-handed government cover-up component to it, and it really hurt the storytelling for Maury Island because people never heard the story. And I think Mount Rainier sort of had a similarly benign government approach to the story.
Well, it's nice because, I mean, the government took a report, but they didn't question it or try and squash it because there was no reason to. It was not relevant.
Well, let me add a little something there. I mean, and this probably is applicable to the Washington State cases. Specifically as it relates to Roswell, the government, the Air Force in particular, is in a position of saying there is nothing to declassify about Roswell because nothing happened. You don't generate documents about a thing that doesn't happen. Now, that's a nice position to be in, because no one has ever been able to find any documents that really lay out things that happened in Roswell. But here's just an interesting thing on government incompetence. In 1994, when the Air Force is doing their investigation, they direct all of their subordinate units within the Air Force who have document repositories to go looking for anything that could be relevant to the investigation. What happened in Roswell in 1947? And guess what? One of the outfits, and remember, this is 1994. Computer search terms are not like what you can do with Google today, right? They do a search of their documents for anything from 1947 that talks about UFOs and unidentified flying objects. Those terms hadn't been invented yet in 1947. Those aren't invented until around 1952, give or take. In 1947, what the things were called were flying saucers or, interchangeably, flying discs. They didn't look for those terms. And they said, well, we found nothing. So that shows you the effectiveness of the investigation. Remember, at every turn, you are told these things have been investigated and the answers have been found. They haven't.
Well said. You know, folks, I think this is the bottom line when it comes to the government rewriting history. Tell me if you agree with me. The government wants you to believe what they say is the truth. Is this the truth, and are you going to believe it? I don't know. Are you? No! Think for yourselves, folks. The government hates independent, free-willed people. I can promise you that. Give it up for our debaters at the end there for our mystery round. Government telling us what the truth is. Team Roswell, how'd they do? Government telling us what the truth is. Team Washington, how did they do? Can I get 2 brand new volunteers down here? 2 brand new volunteers. I got a little trivia for you. Couple of volunteers. I got one coming and I need one more. One more. Right here. Come on down. I always wanted to be a ball collector. Come on down. That's it. All right, let me get a couple of trivia questions. Debaters. Bob Barker in this town. TRC, what is it? Bob Barker used to come to TRC with Ralph Edwards all the time. Wow. In the 50s. And I bet he golfed. Did he golf? He probably went to the Plains of St. Augustine. What's her name? Pam. And what is her name, sir? Gerard. All right, Pam. She's making fun of my New York accent. I can't believe that. Born and raised in New York City. Come on, man. You're giving me a hard time here. All right. Pam, I gotta say it real quick here. What year did the Roswell incident happen? 1947, she says, is she right?
Yeah.
We got something for
Here you go. Here you go, Pam.
with 3 syllables. Y'all didn't know Pam. Pam from Ohio. Y'all, thank you. She says, I know Tennessee. She didn't know it's Mississippi. Thank you, Pam. It is Mississippi. I'll tell you something about how you know somebody's really from Mississippi. It's missing the second set of S's. Mississippi, not Mississippi. Not Mississippi. All right, Gerard. I need a good one for you. Let's see, Gerard. What state is home to Area 51? Nevada, he says. Is he right? Area 51 is in Nevada. Yes, indeed. Good job. When are we going to get it?
Oh, we gotta come out. And since you're since you represent Washington too.
Thank you so much. Good job.
From the team.
Oh, it's already to Area 51. All right, now it's time. By the way, I want to give a shout out to my friend Jord Arnu, who lives in Rachel, Nevada. Check out his website, Dreamland Resort. Rachel, Nevada. You think TRC is small? Rachel, Nevada is a population of 40 folks. All right. Anybody have any questions for our panelists? Questions for the panelists? Raise your hands. I'll try to come to you. Yes, sir. Tell me. I'll give you the mic.
Hi. I don't trust anything the government says. They are pretty good at screwing stuff up and crashing stuff and breaking it. Anybody believe that what's happened might have been them just trying something new out and crashing it and dropping all over the place?
Thank you.
That's been asked a lot about the Kenneth Arnold sighting, and my question about that is why would they fly 9 experimental craft at once? Why don't they just do 1? So just in terms of the Kenneth Arnold sighting, I don't think it was government tomfoolery.
Anybody else from Washington want to comment on that? All right, Roswell.
I completely agree that it's a possibility in any of these crashes. As we know, the government tests things like at Area 51 you were just talking about. And yeah, it's possible. Like you said, they screw up a lot. They crash things, they break things, and they lie about it. What I would like is, Tim, can you bring up the picture of the metal recovered from the Roswell site?
That one?
Okay.
That one?
No, go back up.
That one?
Yep.
There's only 4 I had to get it in.
What makes me think Roswell was different is we have actually found samples at the crash site that have been tested by laboratories and come back as an unknown metal alloy. You guys have physical evidence? Sparky's ashes?
We're working on it. We're really working on it. Yeah, Sparky's ashes have often been allegedly found. I actually want to follow up with a question just for a minute because I think it's such a great question. You know, is the government actually crashing things and then denying it? Right? What a great, this makes sense. And then the discussion of Area 51. I mean, when I talk about this topic and try to get some overview, one of my favorite slides that I show is a Freedom of Information Act request in the 1960s where some citizen was asking the government, I would like to know information and get documents on this place called Area 51. And the generic response from the military was always, there is no such place. I mean, I can quote it. There is no such place as Area 51. It doesn't exist, right? And so that was a decades and decades and decades response from the government to the existence of a place. And we know from, I guess it was 2013 when the CIA finally revealed it. It was finally disclosed in 2013. I think it's the CIA who came out and said, oh, by the way, folks, always been lying. Our bad, right? Our bad, always been lying. Moving on. And the problem that I see with that is when you do that, now forever after 2003, we're already not trusting, but now we've got a story in our lifetime where the government said, oh, I did lie to you about all these things, and now they want to tell us, but today believe me. And I think it's natural for all of us to say, well, are you kind of telling me a truth that is sort of an Area 51 truth? Or like a real truth, and how would I know? And so they create a massive amount of distrust when that happens. So when we have these cases, what do we believe? We aren't in a position to believe it.
I do want to, I want to jump in on this. Okay, so the root question is, could the answer to these things possibly be that it's something man-made, secret experimental craft that failed? We have to honestly say the answer could be yes. Let's investigate. And what happens when we start investigating other ordinary human crashes? We start learning important things that inform us on the context of the events that we're trying to find out the truth about. So I'll give it just kind of an example. This kind of goes along this line. Just a couple of weeks ago, me and Toby went to try to look at a crash site of a B-25. And it happened north of Roswell. We know it's a real crash. We know of an individual who served at Roswell, who was aboard the plane. He talked about it. And as you study that crash, and as you think about it, you use it as an opportunity to learn something about the way crash recoveries work. And you gather the details on it so that you can have that as a potential alternative explanation when you look at a person's piece of data. But what did we learn as we studied that crash? It happened in January, and the B-25 crashed north of Roswell because its wings had iced over and then the engine started to seize up. And the injured crewman who parachuted out of the B-25 didn't get back to the Roswell Army Airfield Hospital quickly. It took them over an hour because the roads were icy. That is a crash of a genuine aircraft north of Roswell in 1947. And we know for a fact that it is not the crash that is going to cause the stories that we have here today, because there's no one in the case talking about wearing cold weather gear and being out in ice and snow. Okay, so it's important to study these other cases, study the legitimate history of all this stuff. You never know where an interesting fact will give you some glimmer into what happened. I could go on and tell other stories, but we'll move on.
Sir, what's your name? Steve, let's give Steve something right there. Let's give one final shout out to T or Steve Brewing. John, Marianne, they're over here hiding. They've not been abducted yet. If you stick around for the after party, I got a little secret for you. We're gonna have Slag and Sparky Ash giveaways at the after party. You do not want to miss that. All right, let's see. We have one more question. I think we got, this is going to be lightning round question, okay? Lightning round, sir. What's your name?
Yeah, my name's Julio. I got a couple of, real quick, 1974, 2006, okay? I'm a young football launch in 74.
Hold it up. I can't hear you.
In high school, I was 1974. In my backyard is saucer as high as a pole, hovering right over me. No lights, quite small. Okay? 1974. And that they call a liar and terror, because I'm not. 2006, I read a book. That's my question to both of you, especially in Washington. William Cooper wrote a book before the Pale Horse, who, after he wrote the book, especially killed it. Somebody killed it. And he, in his book, this is a Navy intelligence officer wrote this book. In his description of that saucer that he described, it's exactly what I saw in 74. And it's incredible. 74 technology was probably fantastic. Great. But this guy, William Cooper, he explained the same thing I saw. Hoax, it goes with 1,000 people that witnessed all these stuff, all these songs.
We got 1
That's
minute.
my question to you guys.
Well,
1 minute total. 1 minute total.
Well, it's kind of a relief, like when you.
Thank you, Julio.
So back I was 12 years old. I was walking to my school bus. I saw a black triangle off in the distance. Quiet as could be. 2 white lights and 1 red light, non-blinking. Yeah. No, it's totally good. But that's the thing. It's like it's nice to have that corroboration when you hear other people's stories. Like I've read more about the black triangles. The one over like the Phoenix Lights. That was the giant.
It's right there above my yard.
No, right, but it's the nice feeling to know that there's other people that have witnessed what you've seen. So I have no doubt that you saw what you saw. Yeah. I've not, no. But.
I have not. No, I was literally just looking it up to try to figure out when it came out. I haven't read it. Yeah, it came out about 91, I think. Yeah, the whole Pale Horse.
15 seconds, Roswell.
15 seconds?
Or whoever wants to go.
I don't know what you saw. But I think you know that it wasn't fake.
You want Keith, I'm saying Keith, whoever was in that machine wanted me to see it because I was camping, laid on my bed, and I saw it come like this. You could see a bird fly poles high, and it was cruising, silent, no lights,
Julio
no
had
cigars,
an
no
amazing
nothing.
encounter.
And I stood up in my bed, and there was a young kid.
Julio, make sure you talk to us after the debate. I know we would love to know a lot more about that because that is incredible. I give it up for the debate teams again. Roswell, Washington. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight in Truth or Consequences Brewery, we bring Roswell and Washington together. We affirm that Washington is the birthplace of the flying saucer era, and Roswell is its capital. We agree that government explanations raise more questions than they answer, and we're going to toast later to the fact that in UFO history and in friendship, the truth is out there, and so is the beer, right? So is the beer. Now let's make it official with the signing of the historic Roswell, Washington UFO Accords.
I should put our pen to it, sign it, and then.
Dun, 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 dun. Here they are.
All right.
And this is going to be presented to the brewery. After tonight, check it out. Check out the Accords. Yes, let's quickly go over these Accords.
All right. Article 1, shared legacy that the events in 1947 at Maury Island, Mount Rainier, and Roswell shall each be remembered as vital threads in the tapestry of UFO history, which awakened the common human to a phenomenon that we must understand.
Yeah, okay.
Article 2, cultural impact. That Roswell may rightfully claim the crown of UFO capital, while Washington may proudly claim the title of birthplace of the flying saucers and the men in black.
Article 3, government obfuscation. That the flying saucers are something real, not visionary or fictitious, whether labeled as Project Mogul, hoax, or nothing to see here, the government is hiding truths about UFOs.
Here, here.
Article 4, tourism and research. That both states have fueled curiosity, scholarship, and a thriving UFO culture, whether through museums, tours, festivals, or beer-fueled debates. At Truth or Consequences Brewing Company, the Summer of the Saucers is relevant today.
We want to believe that the men in black have a look that will never go out of style, that it's no coincidence that Reynolds Wrap was invented in 1947, that Sparky the dog shall be remembered as a hero of his species. And that Kenneth Arnold sighting ignited the public's fascination with UFOs.
Also, the aliens weren't green.
All right. As our debaters sign these accords, figuratively or literally, let's all recognize that tonight, in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, on this 10th day of October 2025, may these accords serve as a reminder that the truth is out there, and so is the beer. And it's at this brewery. Great job, debate team.
Want that pen? Well,
And now, our teams.
Everybody wants a signing pen.
Everybody wants a signing pen. And hey, I like it. And now our teams are going to, it's a sign of solidarity, because we're all in this together. We're all friends here in ufology. They would like to present a gift to each other.
Yes.
We have a few gifts from Roswell to the visitors from the strange Pacific Northwest. Oh, these are premium. Yeah. I give them to you each a sticker, the Roswell Incident Research.
Thank you.
Very nice.
But we're not done.
Those are cool. Yeah.
So something else.
Well, I work at a newspaper, so obviously don't make a lot of money. I present you guys with Roswell Daily Record UFO front page keychains.
Oh, thank you. Very nice.
And then our final gift that we bestow upon our illustrious distinguished opponents. You each get your own small loaf of bread baked in the actual Marcel kitchen.
Thank you.
I think you should give yours.
Thank you. Let me get my first step.
Washington, what did y'all bring for Roswell?
Well, we're starting with Steve.
Oh, Steve Evanston. He's bringing out some goodies.
So we have some gifts for our, what do they say in British Parliament? My right good friends from Roswell. The first thing that you're going to get is, this is an actual dossier that is created for our festival, only given to people who go and enter the festival. You can see that if the seal is broken, it's been tampered with. All kinds of Maury Island and Men in Black secrets are laid forth in this dossier, and we are only giving it to you with some degree of trust, perhaps earned, that you'll keep the confidences that are herein enclosed. Those are hard to come by, I'm telling you.
That's impressive.
And then we also have some gift bags that have a number of items also from our festival, but it is very important. I'm going to hand one to each of you, so all kinds of fun stuff. But please take the t-shirt out, if you would, gentlemen. And yes, please take it out. And then, you might want to stand up when you unfurl these for dramatic effect. People are wearing them here tonight. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. But I think if you unfurl them, you will see there's some duct tape. There is some duct tape on each of these shirts, because until tonight and until these accords were signed, there was some grievance with Roswell. And so the t-shirts actually said Roswell can suck it. And we have duct taped that part over so you do not have to wear it. You're welcome.
Very nice.
And my gift for my new friends on Team Roswell, I have made you each a mix CD. Yes. The Roswell Balloon Mix. 15 songs all about balloons.
Oh, yeah. And let me tell you, folks, I can attest that Paul's truck does indeed still have the 12-disc CD changer in it, so this is going to be great.
And a little special something from Chehalis, Washington. It's a little souvenir from Mount Rainier.
There you go. That's the real deal. That's the real deal. Is it funny? Is it real helium?
Yeah, it's a little.
This
is a Chehalian.
And we filled that balloon with all the hot air from Roswell this evening.
Hey, all right. Look, folks, this is proof, life is better with friends, all right? And we can't do life without each other. I would like to thank all of you for coming out tonight. I am Dr. Mounts from the All Things Unexplained podcast. You can call me Tim afterwards. This is Team Roswell. This is Team Washington. Would y'all raise your glass with me? I'm not going to ask for an offering, but if you'd like to stand, you can. I will take offering as I give up. All right, folks, here we go. I want to encourage all of us, to take some time to get off our screens in the near future. Head out into the woods. Go out and look up at the stars. You might be amazed by what you see, but you may not find a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch in those woods. You may not spot a UFO in the sky, but you might just find the most important thing of all out there, and that's yourself. Cheers. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Let's give it up, since we're finishing, Dr. Tim Mounts for moderating. All Things Unexplained.
Thank you. Good night, everybody. Good night, live stream.